A volunteer football coach in Sylvan Lake, Alberta, is going to court to defend his right to free speech and hopefully win a ruling that allows him to return to the sidelines. Teej Johannesson was dismissed from his volunteer coaching role after posting a personal video on TikTok expressing his views on trans ideology. The group Freedom's Advocate is stepping in to help Teej with his funding for his legal counsel. And Teej joins us now along with Randy Crosson, who's the executive director of Freedom's Advocate. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Rod.
So, Teej, let's start with your coaching career. How long had you been coaching the senior boys team at H.J. Cody High School?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a coach there this is my 9th season. I actually have been coaching in general since 2009. When I was 21 years old, I started coaching grade 7 and 8 girls basketball in Edmonton while my wife and I were down, my girlfriend at the time, wife now, were down there going to university. And I've coached every year since at a few different schools around central Alberta. And then I came and started coaching H.J. Cody Lakers here in Sylvan Lake in 2016. So I've been coaching football there since then.
And you also have a background, I know you've got a lot of exposure with teens working in group homes, some background working with group homes?
Yeah, so I grew up, I have 2 brothers who have minor autism, and so I grew up with that. I have 5 younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 6 boys, and it's always been something close to my heart to work with kids and to make a difference. I had a lot of people, coaches specifically in my life, that really helped me along my path, and I've just felt like I needed to return that. I feel like that's why God put me on this earth, is to make a difference in young people's lives. And I worked in group homes for a number of years, and I actually got out of it because I was seeing that the answer to a lot of the kids' problems that were in group homes was to simply give them drugs. And I had to, as a group home worker, had to administer those drugs, and I saw the detrimental effects that these drugs had, and it just made me incredibly sad. And I couldn't continue to be a part of that. I wanted to make a difference in the way that I treated them, and the way that we helped them with their issues. And I felt like drugs was just a Band-Aid answer that really didn't help. I watched these kids walk around like zombies, and I had to leave the group home world because I couldn't live with myself being the one that had to administer these drugs. So I got out of that about 4 years ago, and it just wasn't something that I could, in good conscience, continue to do.
So, without repeating the whole thing, what was the message in your TikTok video? I know you've obviously got strong opinions about kids and drugs, but what was the message of this video that offended people so much?
Well, I mean, the message was really simple, Rod. I've seen this trans ideology come and take and go after vulnerable kids who are dealing with mental health issues and anxiety and depression, and all the things that kids go through, that we've all been through when we're kids and growing up, and our bodies are changing, and we're putting these kids down a path of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, which have terrible side effects, and then gender mutilation and sterilization surgeries. And so I made a video after the shooting at a Catholic church by a trans person, and I simply said, this ideology is recruiting vulnerable kids. It's promising them that trans is going to be the answer to all their problems, pushes them down the road to become lifelong pharmaceutical patients and customers. And what ends up happening is they're promised that this will solve their problems. It doesn't solve their problems. Their depression and anxiety gets worse. It's why the Tavistock Clinic in England shut down. It's why a lot of these countries in Europe are stopping these things, because the science just doesn't back it up. There's no good science to support it. I said that I didn't attack any person. I have no hate for any person. I have no hate for any kid that may identify as trans or LGBT or whatever that is. I have no hate in my heart. It actually comes from a place of seeing the concern, of listening to detransitioners, of listening to the other side of the story, which is often suppressed. And I said that this ideology was harming kids, and that it was leading to violence, because they're told that Christians and Catholics are the reason why they're hurting and the reason why they're depressed, and that essentially Christians and Catholics are like the mortal enemy of these people, which then leads to violence. And this was before the Charlie Kirk thing, and then the Charlie Kirk thing happened for the same reason. Charlie says that a lot of the same things I do. So it's a scary time to live in. And it was simply a video that I made out of concern and love from my heart of something that I believe is harming kids.
So you post this video. How quickly did you hear from the principal of the school and the school division?
I posted it on August 27th, and then on August 31st, which was a Sunday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Sunday at 9 p.m., I got a call from the principal who said, your values, your Christian values, she didn't say Christian values, but your values and beliefs don't align with our values and beliefs because of the things you said in your TikTok video. I pressed her very hard. I have a recording of this phone call, actually. I pressed her very hard on, what I said specifically that was wrong, and she would not tell me. She said, I'm not getting into the details. She just simply said, your TikTok video and the things you said don't align with our values, and then you're no longer welcome. I tried to press a little harder. She hung up on me, and then 45 minutes later, they had about 30 emails from players that I coach and their parents expressing their disgust and disappointment and anger that I was let go because I'm somebody that's there for their kids. And in many of the emails, it was the same sentiment. This is a coach. This is the one coach we can go to when we need someone to talk to. He's completely accepting. He never brings his views on politics to practice. All the emails said, we didn't even know Teej felt this way because he doesn't bring this to the field. He did this on his own time. We were completely disappointed. That forced the superintendent to email me at 11 o'clock on Sunday night and ask me in for a meeting because of the massive backlash and pushback he was getting from the parents and the players that I coach.
So, Randy, when you first heard about this, what was your reaction?
Well, Rod, we're constantly looking for really good cases that will help set charter precedents. So for us, whenever we see something like this, we get together with our legal team and we start discussing it, see if there's potential in this case to win. We've got over 90% win rate, and we cherish that. We do not want to lose. When it comes to charter cases, you can't lose because essentially you've just given away more freedom. So you have to win. So before we actually connected with Teej, we talked it through to see if there was good grounds in this one. Then we brought him into the discussion, asked a ton of questions. We pulled in the specifics around the case as much as possible. Then Teej decided to go with us, and he signed a retainer, and then we handed off the demand letter to the school. So they're in the middle of deciding that right now. So for us, it's about winning charter cases.
Yeah. Tell me about this demand letter. What is that?
Well, essentially, we define the law to them and tell them where they went off track, essentially. So within schools these days, and teachers' boards and stuff like that, school boards, this ideology has worked its way into the policy systems in each of these organizations. So, for example, in the school that Teej was teaching at, teachers could not say the things that he said. They could be let go because of it, because they've signed off on this document. Teej didn't. He's free and clear of that, so he does have the right to speak his mind. And whereas the teachers in the school really don't. And so, we do run across a number of these cases across the country, whether it's a teacher or a trustee within the school system. And so we're constantly looking for ways to get around some of those issues. The Alberta government, for example, has pulled the school board's rights to silence trustees when they're speaking out against some of the issues that they're seeing. So that's a tremendous benefit. Government does need to rein in some of those at the same time. So for us, it's trying to find those cases that are going to be effective in winning and setting precedents for us.
Teej, you are not a teacher per se. You're not an employee, but you're a volunteer, correct?
Correct, yeah. 9 years volunteer at the school.
So what did it mean to you to have players speak out and support you like that?
I mean, it's everything that a coach could want. I don't coach. Really, coaching the sport is secondary. I do this to help young men and young women. I've coached women as well and young girls. So I do this to be a difference in people's lives. That's why it means so much to me. And, I've had some teachers at that school say that I should have just accepted this and I should have walked away. And why am I making such a big deal? It's just a volunteer position and just minimizing my impact that I have on these kids. It's not just a volunteer position for me. It's not just about coaching sports. It's about being someone in a kid's life. And I've had parents tell me that because of me, I saved their kids' lives. They were going through deep depression. And I've had moms hug me and cry at the end of seasons and thank me for everything I've done, and nothing about my coaching. I think I'm a good sports coach. I think I've played sports my whole life. I've won multiple championships. I'm a good sports coach. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is how I affect and how I treat people, and how I mentor, and I'm a role model to people. And it's the biggest compliment I can get. You know, when you've got 15, 16, 17-year-old boys taking time out of their day to write extremely heartfelt emails about me and saying how much I mean to them and how much I've done for them, there's no championship, no award that I could ever win that would come close to how much that meant to me. So, and that's why I continue to fight, because I don't want to let my boys down. I want to coach them because they want me to coach them. And so I continue to fight this, even though it's been difficult. Like I'm mostly positive, but I've had some pretty nasty hate comments towards me, and some pretty nasty attempts at character assassination from people that have never met me, never spoken to me, never spent time with me, never seen me coach. What's interesting is the principal who fired me for this TikTok video has never once, in the 8 years that I've coached there, the 9 years now, never once come to a game, never once come to a practice, never once seen me interact with my boys, never listened to the kids and the players that speak so glowingly of me. So that's why I do it. And yeah, those emails, they sometimes, if I'm having a bad day, which I've had a couple in this 3.5 week process, it hasn't been easy. I'll just go back and read those emails, and it's just a reminder of why I continue to do what I do and continue to fight.
So Randy, you talked about taking cases that you believe can set a precedent. What's at stake in this case, do you think?
Oh, it's free speech. I mean, Voltaire said, "I hate what you say, but I'll lay down my life for you to have the right to say it." And, you know, there are people that don't like what he said. That's okay. Free speech does that. It allows us to each share what we think and feel, and it's the things that motivate us in our lives. You can see the passion in this young man, his desire to support and help these young people. That's the kind of character we're looking for in all the people that we have, all the people in our country, right? We want people to be motivated for those good virtues and for reasons that are above themselves, and that's what Teej has been doing. You know, for Freedom's Advocate, we're constantly looking for people. We work with strategy groups across the country. When we see an issue being faced in different parts of the country, we'll pull those strategy groups in, and we'll actually find cases, and we'll build the case around that person and the issue that they're facing and the courage that they have to stand. You know, Teej is just starting to see some of that right now, with the pushback that you can get, those sorts of things, the recognition that comes from it. It can be a little concerning as well. So these are courageous people that do this, and we come along and bring funds. Freedom's Advocate, actually my late wife was on Bridge City News several times being interviewed around cases that we did. And, you know, that hasn't gone away. What we realized back, you know, probably 5-6 years ago is that there were tremendous cases being missed because the people didn't have money to fight them. So we started a charity, and our goal then was to be able to fund these cases. This case, for one, Teej wouldn't have the financial resources it takes to fight these cases. You know, the average case cost we have is about $50,000 per case. So it's tremendously expensive to get into the courts and fight, but it's the place that we have that's available to us in our government and our system. So, you know, we're constantly looking for donors, and especially people that have a lot of money that feel like they need to stand up for the rights we have in our country.
Teej, if you can, in about 20 seconds, what do you want? How do you want to see this settled?
Well, we're looking for a declaration from the court that says that my rights to freedom of religion, freedom of expression, and freedom of conscience were violated. And that, you know, there's potential for reputational damage. I run a sports academy here in town where I, you know, get kids that I coach, and that's my livelihood. And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking to set a precedent. I'm with Randy on this. I'm willing to kind of take this on and take the heat that I'm getting and for everyone's rights. And I don't want this to happen to anyone else. And I don't want this to happen to anyone else's family. You know, my wife is extremely strong, but she you know, she's a teacher at the school that this happened to me. And so she's going through a lot here too. So this is just about setting precedent and making sure that this doesn't happen to anybody again.
I appreciate you both taking time to talk with us today. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thanks, Rod. Appreciate the opportunity.
Teej Johannesson is a volunteer football coach suspended for speaking out online about trans ideology. Randy Crosson is executive director of Freedom's Advocate.